Un acteur de la vie politique pour éclairer le public avec Wilgrid Ahouassou.
Bonsoir à toutes, bonsoir à tous. Très heureux d'être avec vous ce soir. Nous sommes bel et bien sûr l'émission Le Forum Politique et nous sommes le mercredi 15 septembre 2021. C'est une émission spéciale. Elle se définit comme le gouvernement du peuple par le peuple. La démocratie est... Je reçois dans cette émission le Forum Politique Dr Peter Baofu, auteur de plus de 170 ouvrages. L'émission est spéciale puisque Dr Peter Baofu... Voilà. Tout d'abord, il serait important, chers amis auditeurs, d'avoir une idée de la biographie de notre invité avec Yenan Boya. Qui est Peter Baofu, en un mot, hein?
Merci Wilgrid Ahouassou. Peter Baofu est auteur de 137 nouvelles théories publiées dans des revues spécialisées, ainsi que d'articles multiples qui apportent une vision différente visant à remettre en cause des idées arrêtées dans des domaines aussi multiples que les sciences politiques et sociales, l'humanité, la culture, l'esprit, et j'en passe. Ces livres sont référencés dans des librairies de prestigieuses universités à travers le monde, y compris à la Bibliothèque du Congrès des États-Unis d'Amérique à Washington, D.C. Peter Baofu, américain, est titulaire de 2 masters en sciences politiques de Northwestern University en Illinois à Chicago et un master en philosophie de Johns Hopkins University. Il a obtenu son PhD, donc son doctorat, en 1996 en sciences politiques au prestigieux Massachusetts Institute of Technology, MIT. Peter Baofu a été interviewé dans des médias de par le monde sur ses nombreuses théories sur le futur de l'humanité. Dr. Baofu, you're a thinker, you're a visionary. Do you think there's a trend towards a single paradigm in every aspect of the world?
Yes and no in a certain way. Let me answer the first question first. If you look into human history from the beginning to now, at each age, there's always some thinking, some mindset, which is quite pervasive in that community or in that society. So in a way, it's quite obvious that there's a tendency for every member of a society and culture to think in a certain way. So the answer is yes, we are no exception to that. However, on the other hand, the answer is no, because for each culture and society, the mindset, the paradigm or the ideology, no matter what you have, is not universal. You can talk about from the beginning of history to now. In every age that you go into, there's always some people, they believe in a different way. They have counter trends, counter ideologies, counter cultures or subcultures, and counter social movements. And they do that in a different way. So to answer your question, yes, in our age, sure, in every domain that you go into, whether you talk about society, culture, nature, and the human mind, you will see some tendency for people to converge somehow in certain mindsets and certain way of thinking. For example, democracy, capitalism, those are 2 good examples. But on the other hand, they also disagree on these very issues. So the answer is no on that. So I think there's also an exaggeration to that. We can talk about Africa, Asia, the US, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, Latin America. In all of them, you will see people fighting for different versions of what we understand nowadays as democracy and capitalism and all that.
Okay, Dr. Peter Baofu, how do people who who want everybody to think the same way, how do they proceed? How do they proceed into making everybody think the same way?
There are a lot of different ways that society and culture, for example, can force you, can make you to think in a certain way. For example, you go to church each Sunday. There is a good example. You will be indoctrinated to think according to what the church would like you to think. If you go to school, for example, then there's also a good place for you to become a culture into the society. What they teach you will be what you learn, and over time you will come and believe whatever your teachers or professors taught you. So there are many different ways. In your job, there's also another way. Your boss, your employer, will tell you what to do, and over time you learn how to behave in your job. If you don't, you may get fired. And if you are lucky, by the way, you have some connection, you may not get fired, but you know what? You still end up doing in a certain way which can make you successful in that environment, even if that environment is very corrupt. So whichever way that you go, there are a lot of different ways for society and culture to make you think in that way. But again, in each of these domains, there are always some people, they do not accept it. They challenge it, and they will fight with you. That's why we have so many problems in society and culture around the world.
Is it the law of submission?
Well, in a way it is, but on the other hand, some people may like the job. You may like your church. There are some people, by the way, that's true in every mode of life. There are some people, even if that submission, they love it. They love the submission, but some other people, they don't. They will fight you to the very end, but they're different about human personalities and characters.
Are those people you're talking about, as far as those people who are reactionaries, do they want to reveal their personality, their independence?
It doesn't matter if they want to reveal or not, but their actions, their thinking, and the beliefs and the behaviors will tell you over time what the person is. So it doesn't matter what the intention, you can read it over time.
Dr. Baofu, what are possible threats associated with having a single paradigm?
A single paradigm, just like everything in life, there are some good things about them, but there are also some bad things about them. The good thing about them, for example, is that if you have a common paradigm, you can have a peaceful way of life. You accept what it is. That is the reality. You do not question that. You do not challenge that. So you live according to the paradigm. You do not question everything. Your mind is at peace with yourself. You don't question. You just believe it. Okay? So there's some benefit. You may have less stress psychologically because of that too. But on the other hand, there's also something bad about it. You will pay for it, because that can be self-destructive psychologically. You do not grow over time. See, one of the things about life is that as an individual grows over time, your mindset is also become more and more developed. But if you stay in that way for a long time with whatever ideology, belief that you have, then you are not learning anything new. You do not question, you do not challenge. Your mind becomes frozen. You see that? That is a negative over here. So everything has a negative and positive. And a single paradigm is no exception.
Having a single paradigm is not a good thing then?
No, I'm not saying that. In fact, whether a paradigm is conservative, you may accept more or less the existing status quo, which is very important to you because you are a conservative. But you don't think of that as necessarily bad. But on the other hand, if you are a radical, you may come to question and challenge that paradigm. You may become an extremist, a revolutionary. So for you, that's bad. So in a way, that's also relative to your own ideology, relative to who you are. By the same logic, there are some people, they think that it's good in some way, bad in some other ways. So it is relative to whom you are talking to, and who is talking over here too.
Je tenais juste à remercier le docteur Peter Baofu d'être venu au Bénin, d'avoir accepté notre invitation.
Il est américain, il faut le dire. Hein.
Il est américain, il faut le dire, d'avoir accepté notre invitation pour cette émission. Merci, docteur Baofu.
Merci bien.
Thank you very much. Hein.
Okay, thank you very much.
Ok, merci beaucoup, docteur Peter Baofu. Nous